Joe Biden had a bit of a blip thanks to Marjorie Taylor Greene at the State of the Union the other night. You probably saw that. You know, she stood up and she was basically calling him out because he wasn't talking about the problem at the border as it relates to violence with all of these illegal, undocumented, as they like to call them. I mean, who the heck cares? They're illegal, okay? They're here illegally. Like, that is the proper use of the word. And by the way, they used to say it all the time. I was looking at some sound this morning from Barack Obama talking about how we can't have 500,000 illegal people crossing into the country every year. Now it's more like 7 or 8 million under Joe Biden. So we have all these people coming in illegally. He does his State of the Union, tries to blame Republicans for the border situation. Good luck with that, Joe. Marjorie calls him out, and he starts to talk about, yeah, you know, I know that Lincoln, he can't even get her name right. Her name is Laken Riley, was killed by an illegal. And that was that. All of a sudden, then Nancy Pelosi went on television and started calling him out for it, like scolding him like some bad little kid. And now he's doubling down on his apology because he shouldn't have referred to a guy that brutally murdered a young woman as forgive me, as illegal. That you can only say undocumented. I mean, what is this about? Are they trying to distract from the fact that he didn't know her name? And now it's becoming about semantics? This is not going to play in Peoria, as they say. But first, watch Nancy scolding him because he dared to say the word illegal, which is what this illegal person who murdered a young woman actually was.
Making wealthy people pay their fair share.
Dana?
Madam Speaker, one of the clearly ad-libbed moments was during the section about immigration. And I'm sure you saw the buttons that your colleagues across the aisle had. And he had one of those buttons. We believe it was given to him by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And when she said something to him during his speech, he responded. I think we have that. Let's listen to it.
I didn't see any Republican buttons.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand.
Now, you should have said undocumented, but that's not a big thing, okay? What's the big thing about
No,
it?
I actually wasn't even going to ask about that. I was just going to ask more about the moment. But you do think that he should have said undocumented? That wasn't going to be my question.
Well, we usually say undocumented. He said illegal. I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay.
I don't think it's a big deal.
But more broadly.
Because I think his focus was on the sympathy for the family.
Yeah.
It's a terrible tragedy.
That was going to be the basis of my question about it, which is, as you well know, maybe you didn't know about the buttons, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of news about this young woman who was a student at the University of Georgia, and she died, and apparently was an undocumented immigrant. And the fact that he was ready with that, with the button, with the response, what do you make of that when it comes to not just the substance, but also the performance?
Well, I think that it was, if that's spontaneous. See, I don't know about the buttons, and you're telling me that they had buttons. I didn't see. I didn't do too much schmoozing with the Republicans before. Usually we do, and we had some conversations, but none of the ones that came over to converse with us had those buttons on, so I didn't see the buttons. So we won't make a thing of the button. The president, I think, handled it very well.
Yeah, and I think
he handled it very well. It's a terrible situation. That anybody losing a child or a family member. It's a terrible situation. But I think he handled it well.
It's a terrible situation, which is why you should actually be focused on that, Nancy Pelosi, and not on semantics surrounding whether he said undocumented or illegal. The guy was here illegally, okay? That is the proper use of the word.